good morning, everyone listening. So let's go over to the news for this week. It was a busy week. First of all, keep an eye on the notices that the FSCA is currently issuing. There is a marked increase in the amount of warnings that they are sending out, both of impersonated FSPs as well as pure scams that they are finding on social media mostly. This week they issued 2 lists, and I'm not kidding you, those lists are quite substantial, of places and people that you have to be careful of. And as we say, most of it is on social media. So we have got so much education still to do in South Africa to make sure that people understand where to find a financial planner or financial advisor and how to check whether this person is actually licensed. Then just another set of news. Now we're talking about scams. Anthony Bogas from Kleuter Zone, who is apparently still, they said the last thing I read was that he was in Canada. He has been liquidated this week. What is going to happen further, we are not sure. It looks like most of the money is gone. But so be so careful of things like this because it happens more and more. Then 2 other interesting articles that I found. The first one is that the Health Funders Association, now they include companies like Discovery Health Medical Scheme, Momentum Medical Scheme, Fed Health, and some others. They are a non-profit organization, but they have applied to the High Court in Gauteng to have the NHI, National Health Insurance Act, set aside on the grounds that it is unconstitutional. Now, their basis is that the NHI will seriously undermine the viability of medical schemes and when fully implemented will all but obliterate medical schemes. The HFA, which through its members represent about 46% of the private healthcare market, alleges that the NHI Act is procedurally flawed and will cause irreparable harm to SA's health system and economy. It is not a reasonable measure in line with Section 27(2) of the Constitution, which requires the government to progressively realize everyone's right to healthcare. And they say that limiting medical schemes, so to only provide complementary healthcare and forcing someone to actually take out healthcare from the state limits the rights that you are allowed in the Constitution. So let's see if this goes anywhere. Let's see how this plays out. I am pretty sure that we will see appeals up to probably the Constitutional Court in this case if it carries on. And then just some interesting statistics for financial planners. Stats SA did a general household survey and they released this last week. It was the result of interviewing nearly 21,000 households across the country, and it kind of shows that life is not as bad as people often think it is. So they looked at 6 areas: education, health and social development, housing, access to services and facilities, food security, and then agriculture. But there's some interesting statistics and some things that I think financial planners should take note of. When we look at families, this survey found that less than 19% of children live with their biological parents. Less than a third, 31%, live with both parents, while 46% of children live only with their mothers. Nearly 12% are orphans. And when we talk about looking after extended family, 2-generation households comprise 39%, but more than 13% of households in South Africa contain 3 generations, and some of them even more. SA is not doing well with regards to education either. Majority of children do not receive early development training. Only 35% attend daycare centers, creches, playgroups, etc. Almost half, 49% of those up to age 4 stay at home with their parents or guardians. Now, we all know that we'll never sort out the education crisis in our schools if we don't start really, really small to have these kids brought up in early development training, because you can't catch up that type of training later. They are like little sponges when they're small. Only a small percentage then, when you look at medical aid, is covered by medical aid schemes. It's less than 16%. of which Western Cape and Gauteng is ahead at about 25 and 21% each. And that's just some of the highlights. There's very interesting reading in there. And I think it'll make quite a bit of sense if you look at where there is financial planning opportunities. So on that, stay warm.